So there's going to be 14 lessons or sessions that are about an hour long. I am going to go live on Facebook for 20 minutes. And then um, after that, at 8 p.m., is when, from 8 to 9 is when the actual class is. I decided to do the 20 minutes at 7 just so that way, you know, people can start to become more aware of it. Like I just have to make more invites in that way by, offering a little bit of the class, but then, the bulk of the lesson in the class is actually behind the Zoom wall. So, yeah, I'm excited. You know, it's something that I see as like very big, but it's like, okay, now I have to start, where I'm at, right? So, luckily I was able to get some, some things like I did get to the point where I was like, okay, I don't need to like do all this fancy stuff necessarily like right off of the bat. I feel like really delivering a good session and really delivering a flow that is I'd say needed in the summertime. Now, to explain it, I'm actually going with the phases of the moon. So the moon goes into 8 phases. And so at each phase, there's going to be a flow that I've created or that is in creation. And so we're going to be looking at the peace phase, the plan phase, the planting phase, the clearing phase, the gathering phase, the seeing phase, the leading phase, the doing phase, and the using phase. And so with this, there's different, you know, apexes. So if you have ever taken higher science, especially anything with electrical, like you know what a sine wave looks like, right? It's like the up and down sine wave. And so essentially that's what the moon cycle looks like. Okay, it looks like a sine wave. And so typically along this path, like there are certain actions and activities and also energies that you should be paying attention to. And, it's interesting. I've been, studying the moon and astrology and astronomy, and then it led into like human design and things like that. And then, you know, I'm a massage therapist by trade, and anybody that's a massage therapist, like we really want to be independent therapists, but because we've been so programmed to translate massage as work instead of, an actual valued creation, because each therapist does their art so differently, yet it's kind of put in a box of work, unfortunately. So today is July 14th, 2025. I'm in California, Pacific Standard Time. I will list the different times because I realize that a lot of you you're going to be reaching the evening sooner than I'll be reaching the evening. So unless you're someone who stays up late, or you are someone who like has a hard time sleeping, then this will help induce that in a natural way, okay, by working with your own body and the guided instruction. So we're right now we're in the phase zero, phase one. Okay. We're around that peace and planning. So there's like a little space where it's like, okay, now we've come back to zero and then it starts again. And so what are some crystals that are helpful around this time? Quartz crystal is really helpful. If you have quartz, I know some people have put their quartz crystals out, for the full moon. And so those will be good to have during the session if you want to have those out and around. Um, and quartz crystal just helps to connect you to your heart to heal. It connects you with the divine mind and truths. Emphasizes manifestation, abundance, and prosperity. Okay, and so this is the crystal really good for the peace phase. And as we start to think about and move into the planning phase, then chrysophase is really good for the planning phase. And I'll spell it for you. It's spelled Chrysoprase. Chryso chrysoprase. Um, and then this crystal, it helps to connect you to your heart to heal as well. And it's really close to quartz. Same thing. It connects you with the divine mind and truths, and it emphasizes manifestation and abundance and prosperity. Okay, so these two together, um, when I first started this, um I literally made, I guess you can call them malas. They're not really malas because they don't have the tassel, but I did make beaded necklaces and I wore those for a long time. Now though, I am looking for like less heavy jewelry. Not that they're, and I don't want to say that they're heavy like that, but just like, sometimes I don't want to wear like a bigger piece. Sometimes just the smaller pieces are very effective. And um, so yeah, so this is the phase where we're going to focus on these things, connecting to your heart. And a lot of people don't really even know their moon sign. And so it's good to know your sun sign, but there's so many other planets play a role in um that play a role in your everyday, right? A lot of people, you know, don't realize that at certain, points we get filled up with energy. We get more energy flow. And then, it's like, how do you manage that energy throughout the year, right? Um, but yes, so the first phases, like I said, are going to be 0 to 1. And then it's going to be really a time of starting to clear almost because it's like, okay, you set your goal from last month, last 28 days ago, roughly, right? And so now it's like, okay, it's kind of a reflection time too, because you're like, okay, did I meet that goal? How close did I get to meeting that goal? If I do a certain other thing, can I meet that goal? if you didn't meet it, or does the whole goal just need to be, do you need to just start over? And I did actually realize I have been not creating the goals from an impossible goal. I've been creating goals to lesser goals. And that was a lesson from Dr. Benjamin Hardy. Um, he's the author of Who Not How. He's like co-author, and then also 10x is easier than 2x, I believe is the title. But it's a 10x. It talks about 10xing. And he was doing a I actually saw that on YouTube. So you can find it's him and Myron Golden on YouTube, and they're discussing and he was talking about lesser goals. And so it's like, oh wow, yeah, I have been working on the path to lesser goals in my pursuit to the bigger goal because I thought they were necessary, but they weren't always 100% necessary. But um but yeah, so um I will see you all this evening. Um like I said, I'll put the times because um I know a lot of you are not in California that would be interested in this. And so I'll put like Pacific Standard Time. I know Central Time is usually popular, and then also Eastern Standard Time. So you kind of have an idea um, of where your time frame would fall. And then the 20-minute snippets will be up for 28 days. I don't know. I know a lot of times it's like, oh, they're only good for, you know, um, 24 hours. So that might also be an option. So if you miss it, you know, I will have them each Monday for the next 14 Mondays. And then, yeah, and then there's a lot of other things that's coming out, which I'm really excited. I've been working on and getting the messaging, you know, to come across to those who actually like are meant to work with me or I'm meant to work with, like uh who I can actually help, answer questions and provide the solutions that I have. Um and also I am looking into doing some type of like questionnaire or something. So I don't know. I might just be putting questions out there. So stay tuned for that. If you have input, please, share your feedback or share your experience or um, what you would have to share. But I'm gonna head out and 'cause I have quite a few things to do before this evening, before our class. I'm really excited, like I said, and I will see you all at 7 p.m. Peace. Actually, I like this mudra better.